Hey, with the COVID crisis lockdown, most small businesses have allowed their employees to work at home. Now, in this episode, I interview a frequent IoT Playbook guest, Luis Alvarez. He's an MSSP and IoTMSP in Salinas, California. Now, Luis is helping his clients make the transition to working from home without compromising his managed security service stack. Now, business is booming for Luis. In this episode, you'll learn the products and the process Luis is using to help his clients. Now, I guarantee you that you'll get dozens of ideas you can use in your own MSP right now. Plus, you'll learn why Luis believes this is a key turning point for your SMB customers because many of your customers will decide to support a remote virtual workforce even after the lockdown period is over. So, if you're trying to figure out how to grow your own MSP and help your clients during this COVID crisis, then click the link below to watch this episode of IoT Playbook. I promise you'll be encouraged and inspired by what Luis has to share with you about what's working in his business right now. Hey, this is Mark Smith from IoT Playbook and Channel Pro, and I'm here with Luis Alvarez from Alvarez Technology Group. And Luis, I understand you've been really busy since, or even really before
Yeah,
this whole coronavirus thing got to be declared a pandemic. Why don't you tell me about
sure.
that?
Well, like a lot of IT providers, we have a number of clients that are uh, under regulatory compliance, especially our banking clients.
Yeah.
So part of that compliance means that you assume a lot of things and you plan for a lot of events, things like disasters and pandemics. And so for the last decade, we've been doing annual pandemic tabletop exercises. So when this started rolling out, we basically we already knew what needed to happen, even though it was just these couple of banking clients that were doing that. We knew that it applied across the board to all of our clients. So we started talking to them before the pandemic was declared, and we said you got to be planning for people working from home. Already at that point they were talking about 14 to 21 days of self quarantine. So we were telling them, hey, you just have to start planning for this. And some were more proactive than others. But as soon as the pandemic was declared, we sent out an email to our clients and we said, normally our agreements, our service agreements, do not include servicing employees from home because we just take care of them in the workplace.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to be the the speed bump between them and making a decision that was good for their team. And we said, hey, for the next 90 days, we're going to extend coverage to everybody wherever they're at. If they're working from home, that's fine. And that kind of opened the floodgates. All of a sudden, we started getting clients calling us saying, great, I'd love to hear that. You're a great partner. We need to figure out how to get all our employees to work from home. And so we instituted a set of best practices around how to do this correctly. Like, do not let them use their kids' gaming computer at home to connect up to the office via VPN. No, Lord knows what's on that system, right? So we said you got to buy new gear. It has to be company supplied. We have to use VPNs. We have to use multi-factor authentication where available. We have to put our security tools on those systems so that we can take care of them as we take care of the office. Because realistically, when you think about it, what you're doing when you've created a VPN that includes, in some cases, up to 50 people, you've created 50 points of entry
Right.
into that office. And somebody has to manage that, or else the cyber criminals who are already, frothing at the mouth of the potential, the opportunity that this presents for them, it'll be easy picking. So we've been really, really busy scrambling to find computers. The supply chain has been broken for months now because of
Hmm.
tariffs, and then later on China's own coronavirus problems. So finding gear through our normal distribution channels has been challenging. Standardization has gone out the window. If we need 20 PCs and 5 of them are Lenovo and 3 of them are Dell and 6 of them are HP, that's what we're getting. And so a lot of the rules, the standardization rules that we've been working under with our clients is, you basically have to scramble around and take on new things. And I do think that this is going to be an inflection point in our society and in our economy, in the sense that we are now learning what we can really do from home. A lot of these companies that we've set up their employees to work from home have never even allowed their employees to work from home. They're like, no, that's not something. I can't manage you remotely. I don't know if you're goofing off. I don't know what you're doing. And I think what they're going to learn is that this is a pretty effective way for people to be productive and get things done. So I don't think we're going to go back, at the end of this, whether it's 3 weeks from now or 3 months from now. I don't think it's going to be like, okay, everybody back to the office. Let's get back to normal. I think we're going to have a new normal that arises out of this.
So have you, I know you were scrambling to put all this together, but do you now have like a remote worker package or something? Obviously, you love to standardize the PC, but that was impossible. But is there certain things that go into that remote worker package or offer kind of thing?
Yeah. So, obviously, we only allow VPNs. So there's a VPN license that has to be, if it's Sonic Wall or WatchGuard or one of those other firewalls that require licensing for VPNs, then there's that. Some like Meraki doesn't have any limitation on VPNs, so there's not an issue there. But it includes our complete security stack on those systems, everything from our RMM tool to our designated endpoint protection software, our the detection and mitigation software, our vulnerability assessment tools, the patch management tools, all those things that are the bundle, if you will, on top of the hardware, is part of and parcel of the process.
So what about how are you handling like backup and stuff?
So what's really interesting is, we're an Axiom partner, and they have a product called that they purchased called Anchor, and it allows for a cloud-based, direct to cloud backup of systems. So we've installed that on certain systems, but by and large, people are using cloud-based tools like Office 365 on these systems, and they're not really basically putting any data on those systems. Everything is either stored in the cloud or it's stored at the office, and they're remoting into their regular desktop, if you will, sitting at an empty desk, and using RDP or some other remote control software to get to those securely and conduct work from within the office.
So what have you noticed then by now pushing so many remote workers all at once? What have you discovered or things
what's been interesting is a lot of our clients that have bought the entire Office 365 stack, it includes a lot of tools in there built for collaboration, in particular Microsoft Teams. And for a couple of years, we've been kind of prodding our clients, hey, you really want to use Teams. It's a great product.
Yeah.
And they pushed back and said, we don't really need it. We got email. If I need to talk to somebody, I can get up and walk over to their desk. Well, can't do that anymore. So Teams, we've been rolling out Teams at a furious rate for these clients, and also training them to use Teams, providing them some basic training on things like chatting and file sharing and those sorts of things. And the overwhelming response that we've gotten is like, wow, this is so cool. This is awesome. I feel like, like I'm still connected to my coworkers because we're actively chatting, we're actively talking to each other, or video conferencing, because that's the other thing that we want to provide them, is not just the ability to chat, but giving them a way like you and I are to talk to each other and see each other.
Sure.
And stay connected that way.
So, yeah, well, I imagine new laptops, you're going to use the default maybe camera that comes in a laptop and default microphone and stuff like that. But are they looking to upgrade and things like that too? And
oh, well, in some cases, clients have taken this as an opportunity to say, well, these are old PCs that are on the desks.
Yeah.
So let's get them laptops. And then when this is all over, we're just going to switch them to using laptops, those laptops as their new desktop. So yeah, there are some upgrades going on. So our guys have been fast, and furious about setting up VPNs. I think we're working every day to set up a new client, and now that California has largely gone to a shelter-in-place system, which means that companies don't have a choice anymore. Most companies now have to send their employees home, and those employees can't go anywhere or do anything other than maybe go to the office if they need to. But the shelter-in-place calls out specifically who can and can't work. So a lot of companies that would otherwise have to shut down now can stay up and running. And fortunately for us, the California rules for shelter-in-place exclude IT companies like ours. So our guys can still go on site and still take care of those sorts of needs. But we're also taking precautions. Our help desk staff and our SOC team, they're all working from home remotely, and we're using all the lessons that we learned as a managed services provider. We've used virtualization and virtual employees for years, and we're translating that knowledge into our clients and saying, hey, here's what we've learned in this world of remote workers and work from home, and let's teach you these lessons. And it's been a valuable interaction with them, and I think it's demonstrating the strength of our partnership.
How are you scaling up the training? I mean, are you like offering a training class that any of your clients can go take, or are you doing it on a client by client basis, or how's that?
We started on a client by client basis and quickly realized that this is not going to work. So what we're doing is we're rolling out, since we're a Microsoft shop and we use Microsoft Teams, we're using their live meeting capabilities of Teams to create training sessions a couple times a week. So our trainer, one of our guys in the office who's a certified trainer, he puts together the training program. We email it out, and whoever wants to, click the link and connect up and watch as he teaches them how to do different things in Office or in Teams, or how to more effectively be a remote worker. It's worked out well. We have a lot of good feedback about those classes.
So, transition a little bit into the IoT side. Do you see the need to actually maybe put like a donuts box at their house or something like that at some point?
At some point, if this continues to be the new normal, then we're going to have to look at how do you segregate an office worker who's working from home from all the other stuff on that network, right? So we also put together a checklist that the employees have to fill out that says, essentially, I'm using Wi-Fi with a secure passcode, not just an open Wi-Fi. On that network, I have a legitimate firewall installed, not just some rinky-dink home system that's less than 2 years old. So we know that it doesn't have a bunch of vulnerabilities. And where they don't have those requirements, that the company has given us carte blanche basically to replace those systems with what we think is the right thing. So we're using a lot of Soho type of firewalls for those networks and setting them up so that they can continue to work, but do it in a very secure way, because we're concerned as their IT service provider that any sort of weakness that allows something to get into the network is going to have catastrophic results. And so we're doing everything we can to keep that from happening.
So if they bought, like, they got the default one from, I don't know what's big out there in California, of Xfinity or Comcast or one of those, they have a cable, modem router, whatever. Is that adequate, or are you upgrading them to something else in there? I mean,
we like to upgrade them to a commercial grade firewall, because even though a lot of people would argue that, well, Comcast modems use network address translation, there's no way you can really get on the network. Comcast has, when all this started, had basically let their security services that are something you can upgrade on that firewall. Now they're available for free. They just made that available to all their subscribers, but we still aren't comfortable that that's enough. And so we've recommended that we put something in there that we can manage, that we can set up for alerting, because you can't. Maybe Comcast gets alerts, but we don't. So we don't know what's going on in that network, and we'd much prefer to find out if somebody's trying to break into that network, or somebody's trying to do something prior to that happening.
So if somebody calls up, hey, it's too slow, and you have to say, how many Netflix streams are running right now?
We've gotten some interesting calls from the home workers saying, "Hey, the internet's really slow. Can you take a look at it?" And with the limited tools that we have, absolutely, but it's a very manual process.
Right.
We want to get them. Like I said, if this becomes the new normal, then we want to treat them as an extension of their main office and implement all of the automation and all the software tools that we use to manage the hardware, the IoT pieces,
right,
on our clients' networks, on their networks as well.
I could just imagine you throw Domons on there, you get a network diagram, and like, yeah, how many, you got 35 devices connected to your network now that you're competing with, without even really thinking about it. Oh, that's crazy. So what do you see as, if this is the new normal, are you then thinking that at some point you may shift your policy to just automatically now add as an option the home worker and the business level security at home kind of option?
We think that's the direction we're going to end up going.
Yeah.
We're using the next 90 days as a way to kind of baseline how much additional work is it? Is it something that's really straining? Is it changing our metrics to the point where we have to talk about increasing the fees on the agreement, or is it just like normal? Is it like most MSPs? We manage our gross margin, and we want to make sure that our service contracts are profitable. And as long as that stays the case, then we're happy to extend the services and provide them that additional benefit at no additional cost. But we'll have to see what that turns out to look like in 90 days.
So just to wrap that up, so what do you see? Are there any other services that you kind of foresee coming if this continues, or if this inflection thing does happen, besides just adding it to your standard bundle or whatever?
Well, I think what you'll see is this more flexibility in the mobile workforce, which means that you're going to see new ways of doing business. People will want to be more portable. People will want to, use devices that they may not normally use to access data from the organization. So mobile device management, which is something that we don't do a lot of, unless it's, again, one of those regulated industries that requires it. We see that going across the board to every client as they realize, hey, there's a lot of endpoints that I got to protect. And a lot of those things are tablets and smartphones that now are outside of my control, and I need to make sure that my data is protected.